Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 33 of the ITSM crowd. Today we're going to talk about an emerging subject, which is enterprise service management, and I'm really looking forward to learning a little bit more about what this is and what it means for organisations around the world. My name's Claire Agata. I'm going to be the facilitator for today's session, and the first thing I'm going to do is ask our panel of experts to introduce themselves. So working from left to right on my screen, Daniel, if you can say hello, please.
Welcome everyone from Paddington Station in London. I'm an IT service management professional for many years and now well into the world of Lean and DevOps as a coach and consultant. Suresh?
I'm still there. So my name is Suresh GP. I run a company called Top Solutions, being a service consultant practice. This about enterprise service management, but very passionate on this ITSM crowd because we have some eminent experts where we can share some insights. Looking forward to it. Thanks.
Thank you. So Simon, if you want to say hello.
Yes, Simon Dorst from Kinetic IT in Perth, Australia, an ITIL zealot from long ago, gone through the service management and very interested these days how service management expands, but also how we're expanding what it is, not just ITIL, but Agile, SIAM, it's framework frenzy, isn't it, these days?
A little bit, yeah. And James.
Hi there, James Gander, independent service management consultant. Been doing this and IT operations for more years than I probably care to think about. And recently got into the whole DevOps side of things, and I now run Phoenix Project workshops in and around New Zealand.
Fabulous, thank you. And Karen?
Hi. Unmute. Hi, Karen Ferris from McCann Consulting, based out of Melbourne, Australia. Been in the service management industry again longer than I care to remember, but I'm an ITSM consultant, but also an organisational change management practitioner, about which I'm very passionate.
Fabulous, thank you. And Simone?
Did the same thing as Karen. There goes that mute button. Hi everyone. Yes, been in around the service management game for some time, prior to IT as well. Very much looking forward to the ESM conversation because it's going to definitely carry in all the passion I know this group has around change management and people side of things as much as it is about software. So anything else is on LinkedIn.
Thank you. And Stuart?
Good morning. I'm Stuart Rance from Optimal Service Management. I'm an independent consultant, trainer and author, and I do both service management and information security, and I have the best job in the world. I just love what I do.
Thank you very much. So I'm Claire Agata. I'm the lead tutor at ITSM Zone. During today's chat, we will be keeping an eye on Twitter. So if you've got any questions that you want to ask the panel, if you just use the hashtag ITSM crowd, then we'll pick those questions up in the next 30 minutes and we will answer those as part of the discussion. So if you've got any burning questions about enterprise service management, today's the day to find out a little bit more. So the first thing for me, I will confess, I've heard people mention enterprise service management. I don't really have a fixed idea of what that means. So if somebody on the panel could kick us off and tell me what enterprise service management is, I think that would be a really helpful start point, and I'll let someone volunteer themselves.
I'm happy to volunteer. I did, just out of curiosity, today a Google on enterprise service management, and it's evident to me there's a lot of confusion about what it is. The top sort of returns on Google are talking about enterprise service management as software solutions. That's not what ESM means to me. ESM is, to me, it's using service management best practice approaches outside of IT. IT have been doing this for some time, and in a lot of circumstances are doing it really well. And why not expand those disciplines out to HR, facilities, legal, organizations departments or business units, if you like, that take requests, that deal with faults, and replicate a lot of things that IT do. So that's, in a nutshell, why I think it is.
I'm not at all surprised, Karen, that on your Google search that's what you found, because in my experience, enterprise service management is a marketing term used by IT service management tool vendors to try and promote their tools in non-IT places. Everybody who doesn't work for an ITSM tool vendor calls something very similar that they do digital transformation, by which they mean using digital ideas, using mobile, using technology to enable their various business units to service their customers. And if we could only move away from a terribly inward focused enterprise service management techie term used by IT people to talking to our customers about digital transformation, it would be a very good start.
So just to make sure we're not introducing another phrase which isn't defined, what is digital transformation, Stuart?
For me, it's moving away from requiring dedicated physical resources to do jobs to using virtual and mobile technology to enable more efficient ways of working.
Okay.
AI then?
That can be part of it.
I think one of the interesting things, following on from what Stuart says, is that there are some vendors that, when you look at their products and they're talking about enterprise service management, are talking about moving into other areas of the business with their product and offerings. But there's also some out there that are still talking about enterprise service management or badging their tool as enterprise service management and still talking about purely IT. So they're just rebadging it to keep up with the competition.
Daniel, I think you were going to add something then.
I keep holding out for the day when enterprise service management is actually organizations thinking about how are they going to service their customers, how are they going to improve the work practices for their staff, and realize that they can only do that by looking at technology and then thinking about, well, technology already has a lot of service management based practices or ways of doing stuff, so let's borrow from them and let's integrate that into the way that we work. So that's my lean DevOps, whatever you like to call it, thinking about the future of enterprise service management.
Yeah, I'd like to add, just from a business perspective, my view on the whole enterprise service management actually comes from the business perspective when I was working, especially in serviced offices. So even before, yes, the technology is part of that, but really it was about making sure that across the business that we had the whole perspective. There were central views, central ways of working, that we actually didn't have some of the silos. And you see that from HR and finance, how they started to use the same software system to do their logistics and that kind of thing. So I don't think that ESM is actually new to the business. I think somewhere along the line ITSM has confused the issue, or the vendors have confused the issue. That was my take on it.
Thanks, Joe. I think what happens is always that the salespeople are abusing a new word in the market. It's been around for a long time. I always used to say that we should take IT out of service management, but without IT, ITIL is just ill, and service ITSM is not that great either. But I think on tools, even with digital transformation, a lot of people are looking at the technology around it, and it's good to hear that we are talking about the practices that we've developed within a service management environment within the IT arena, and see how we can leverage those, including all the good, the lean and the DevOps, and all that good stuff in an enterprise environment. Yeah, well, we do have to take away the salesy focus on it.
So one of the conversations I've had around this recently about enterprise service management was toolset related, and it was an IT service management person talking about using service management tool sets for customer service and for things like call center management. So are we implying that the business doesn't do these things at the moment, or that service management in IT has got something to teach the business? I don't know, Suresh, if you want to come in on that one.
Right. So just to make sure that you hear me well, I'll probably turn off my video. So one of the things that I've seen organizations, primarily in service management, working on is you need the entire space, be it predictive analytics, that is actually going to help it much more to make value, so real business value. So what I'm seeing is that there is a real need of the tools actually being integrated for the business process to add value. So you bring in automation part of it, you bring in the process efficiency part of it, and then the measurement and metrics, which is phenomenally aimed to deliver business value. So it would be inappropriate to tell that tool vendors are wrong. So making that passion towards marketing or sales pitching, but more towards the business context. So I would still go with the fact that it is very important to understand how it adds value. Predictive analytics in terms of understanding the whole spectrum, right from the time you provision a service till the time it is actually going through the entire service life cycle approach. So I think there is still a merit. We should give some due credit for that. Okay, go ahead.
I think it has a lot in common with looking at customer relationship management, not just the systems, but the processes that go across customer relationship management, which have been in place for an awfully long time. And the cool thing that I see, if you like, from the IT service management software side, is that there's a lot of replication and duplication of that CRM style, like knowing the whole picture. And that's what Suresh is talking about. You need to see the whole picture of how that data flows. And I guess that's why I like methods, for example, like Obashi, that could really help and assist with looking at how those technologies within the organization may be duplicating or have the unique specifics required across their systems, whether that's a CRM system, a sales system, the financial system, or any other IT system in place.
One of the things that I've seen with enterprise service management that really worries me a lot is very arrogant IT people going out to other parts of their own organization and telling them how to do their jobs. It's really not a wise approach. And I like your reference there, which I heard as, let's think holistically. It's a matter of continual improvement of the business. It's nothing to do with IT, really. And maybe one aspect of that needs to be IT organizations going out to learn how other parts of their own organization do service management, because in many of the organizations where I've worked, there is some superb service management going on that IT people could really learn from, if only they weren't trying to push their tool to do request fulfillment for every other business unit, but genuinely wanted to do service management at the enterprise level.
Is that a fear that if the business decides to widen the use of their own service management tool is such that IT doesn't have the value anymore? Do you think there's a bit of fear there?
I wasn't thinking in terms of tool. I was thinking in terms of mindset. Yes,
mindset, definitely.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a fear. I think it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for technology to finally do what it's supposed to be doing, which is remove obstacles and achieve goals. That's all it's there for.
Yeah, I think enterprise service management has to break down those silos. And I totally agree with Stuart. It's not about, you know, IT going out and saying, look, we do things so well, because we don't. It's a very scary proposition. But I think picking up on what Simone said, you know, if we've got all these different business units saying, you know, we need to take requests for whatever services and products we deliver, and we need to track them, we need to record them, we need to know when we've resolved them. And if a business unit then goes out and says, okay, I need not only the processes to do that, but a tool to support it, we suddenly have all these tools that are doing the same things in marketing, in HR, and facilities, and IT. So it's about lifting up. It's not saying that the tool that IT has is the best, but it would be good if we had one enterprise tool and set of processes so that it's consistent across all business units, whether I'm requesting something from HR in terms of an induction for a new starter, or facilities to come and fix a desk, or IT to give me a new application, that I have one service catalogue across the business that I know where to go. I don't have a service catalogue for IT, but then I have no idea how to get facilities, and I'm all over the place.
I think we're doing typical IT here. We keep bringing tools into it. And I think it's wrong. I mean, as Stuart said earlier, there are some brilliant examples of service management being done by different areas of the business, be it who have their own way of managing their services that they provide. Finance have ways of managing the services they provide. Facilities management, all these areas do it very well, but sometimes they don't. You know, I've worked places where they do it appallingly badly, but then so do IT. So who's to blame there? I see enterprise service management as Simone said, having that holistic view of trying to come up with a standardized way of doing the management of services for the enterprise. Don't worry about the tools. That's where we keep getting hung up on IT service management. Maybe not this group here, but people. They go out there, they're keen to say, oh, we've got to have this tool because it's got all these WYSIWYG widgets on it and enables us to do this, that, and the other. And we're almost getting into that now, just in this discussion of saying there's got the organization. There doesn't. It could be post-it notes. It could be paper forms. I don't agree with that, but I've seen it work in many different places. And it's just having that centralized view of this and then managing it effectively. That's my view.
I do think we are making... Thank you, James. I do think we're making almost the same mistake as what we did with ITSM, is focusing on the operational area, maybe because it's easier, and that's where technology really helps doing the service desk, the request fulfillment side. If we're truly talking enterprise service management, we need to look at it from a service management perspective across the whole life cycle, and how we do that before we start saying, okay, I've got a tool in IT that I can use to deal with all users of the business across facilities. So yeah, be very careful not to fall in the same trap as what we've done for the past 20 years.
I wonder if it will be helpful to give you a concrete example of an organization that I came across doing what I think of as enterprise service management. It's an interesting organization. Their business was providing contract truck drivers. So some company who needed a truck driver would say, we need a driver to drive from point A to point B on this day at this time. And their main business metric was number and percentage of trucks that arrive at their destination on time. But they didn't have any data to help them to understand why sometimes trucks weren't arriving on time, what was going wrong. And we just helped them put in some incident management and some problem management so that they knew, is it failed tyres? Is it drivers not getting up in the morning? What are the things that are causing us to fail to meet our business targets based on implementing really simple incident and problem management? We used the tool, but the tool wasn't the important aspect of it. It was doing service management that mattered, and it really made a difference to the business.
Yeah, I have a question for the panel. So I think we're all in, vehement agreement that it's hard to drive, and maybe we shouldn't drive enterprise service management out of IT. Everything we read about at the moment is that it's coming out of IT, and it seems like this arrogant thing that we're doing service management, we've got the processes, we've got the tools, and we can help the business do service management too. If that's not the approach, then who should be in the organization driving enterprise service management?
Well, Suresh, you're the devil's advocate here.
So I'll probably take an approach here. First of all, it's very inappropriate to call enterprise service management, because it's not enterprise service management anymore. It's just enterprise. Forget about service management, guys. It's just dying. So as a business, I just only care about my customers, my productivity, my employee satisfaction, and value, right? So who cares about service management? Forget about service management. As long as I get lean, as I get something, my wastage and control, if I'm able to get some automation in place and stuff, it still works. So I would try to transform the enterprise service management term as business service management, because for me, that has the business as a bigger pie and just service management as a small part of it. So I'm not so much obsessed like these guys as service management practitioners, but I'm just focusing on the business and say service management can add value. If it doesn't add value, just take the service management out of the lead. I'm sorry, guys. That's the hard truth.
So a question here then, again for you all on the panel. It feels to me like this is a conversation we're having within IT service management. Should the business be driving this? Is this where IT and the business truly converge and we kind of stop talking about IT as a separate unit? Simon, I don't know if you want to jump in on that one.
Very surprised me there, got off mute. Of course, yes, the business needs to drive this. I mean, it's not called enterprise for nothing. IT, we have a couple of quick solutions. We have a tool. The vendors will say we have a tool. And I say we'll find point solutions, which is not enterprise service management. So if the business is serious about this, if they want to leverage the practices that we've developed, if they truly want to talk about managing a business service, then they need to be accountable. They need to govern it. We can help, we can facilitate, and the tools will have a place as well, but it needs to start with the business, and preferably as wide and as high up in the business as you can.
I tell you where I normally see it start, and that's when we have mergers and acquisitions. Any time that the company wants to do a restructure of any kind, whether it's just melding a few teams together or it's melding departments or units together, the most common place I've always started with this is let's do a stock take of the processes, the systems and the functionality. Look where the duplication is. Look where the unique specifics are. And then what we do is where there's the duplication, let's take the best of both worlds. So rather than IT saying ours is better than yours, or the business saying yours is better than mine, which one is going to give us the best value in terms of either melding or, refine, redesign, or completely rethink the way that the enterprise is actually doing the processes, and thereby the technology supporting those processes, so they get the best value out of it. So it is driven from the business, and it has to be driven from the way the business wants to be, what it wants to deliver and how it likes to be structured. And if IT can provide them that expert advice, fabulous, because let's face it, we've been through it too, but we're also part of the business, not separate to it. So that's my view from, there you go. Collaboration.
Conversation. So how do we get that conversation triggered from a business point of view, not an IT point of view. We can talk about it in IT forever. We all agree that it can't be IT driven, because there may be better practices in other parts of the business that, like you say, Simone, what's the best of breed across the organisation, and let's adopt those, and the processes, the procedures, the technology, etc. So it's, you know, my question from an IT service manager perspective is, how does that conversation get triggered at the business level?
Oh, Daniel, I know you're champing at the bit. Go for it.
So I think we've all read the Phoenix Project. And 2/3 of the way into the book, or halfway into the book, the interim CIO does something very clever. He has a 15-minute meeting with every one of the senior managers in the organization. And the only question he asks is, what are your goals? What are your obstacles? And he looks at his technology and he says, enabling a goal, removing an obstacle. And every 2 weeks thereafter, he has the same 15-minute meeting. What are your goals? What are your obstacles? He presents no solutions. He simply goes back into IT. And then during that 2-week period, which remarkably sounds like an agile sprint, starts to work technology to help the business do business. And after 3 or 4 meetings, the business starts to come to him. The discussion starts, because all of a sudden they see technology as being one of the tools that they can use to do stuff. And I think that's where you need to start. You need to have a simple session with them and never talk about technology, talk about them. What's in it for them?
Yeah, you're talking about strategic alliances and building collaboration. I love it.
Can we just stop saying the business and IT, though? IT are part of the business.
Yes, absolutely.
So we're all sitting here going, the IT this and the business that. It's everybody trying to come up with a way of working so that the whole organization, a profit-making organization, a tertiary education, a whatever, operates in a way that is effective and they achieve what they want to get out of it.
I think the challenge,
so it's not IT, it's not the business, it's just working together.
I think the challenge we have is that I don't think anyone on this panel would disagree that IT is part of the business and we should stop, you know, marketing, don't go marketing and the rest of the business, or HR and the rest of the business. But some of the practices that we've had from the 80s has always talked about IT in the business, and we're in the habit of saying it even if we don't mean it anymore. So I think it's...
Oh, no, I know. That wasn't a go at people here.
French language, yeah.
No, I wasn't having a go at people here. It's a generic...
Great.
Everybody in IT talks about IT and the business as if we're two...
We need to change that. We need to change that language, absolutely.
Because if you get that mindset right, then you stop thinking about IT service management, you stop thinking about enterprise service management, you just think about service management.
And I think, because we're coming to the end of our time, that would be an appropriate time to pause this discussion. However, it feels to me like there's a part 2 here. That's been a really good discussion about, I guess, starting to think about what enterprise service management means. But it feels to me like there's so much more to talk about in terms of how are we going to do enterprise service management? Who should be driving enterprise service management? What results could we be hoping to achieve? And for me, you know, this links to a lot of areas that I've been working on recently. That it feels to me like this has huge links to SIAM and end-to-end management and performance reporting. So I think we'll be scheduling a part 2 of this conversation very soon. So today I'm going to thank the panel. So thank you, Daniel, Simon, James, Karen, Simone, Stuart and Suresh. Thank you all so much for joining. And also thank you to Daniel and James, who logged in early and helped me resolve a few little technical glitches that we were having before the Hangout started. So thank you very much to our expert panel. Thank you to those who've been watching, and look out for part 2 of this Hangout soon. We will be doing part 2 of enterprise service management. Thanks everyone and goodbye.
Bye.